Hello traders, how are you guys doing? I hope you had an amazing week. We're setting up another week, and as we always do, we usually share the top down analysis on EURUSD, GBPUSD, and DXY, and we're here to do that. Okay, I hope you had an amazing week. On my end, I had a profitable one out of the analysis that we did last week. And before we start this week's top down analysis, I will just want us to do maybe a recap of how the trades went. Welcome to another video. From the analysis of EURUSD and GBPUSD, I will just start with EURUSD first. So we had an amazing sell. This was the sell that we had, and it was approximate of 1 point risk to reward of 1 to 2.7. It was an amazing one, though it was supposed to be a swing trade. Okay, if you're not a swing trade, I hope you had some scalps in between, because we were expecting a pullback and then just a continuation of a drop. But I had some traders who took even the buys and then now dropped again with the sell. So that was an amazing trade. So what we just did is we were expecting a pullback from these prices. Okay, we had a drop, and then what we were just expecting is a pullback to a point of interest and also to a retest of these support levels. Okay, this trade hold at these levels here for some time, so we were just expecting a pullback to these areas, and then also to a point of interest using our fib, and then just an entry and a continuation. GBPUSD recap is very different from EURUSD because we were almost hit our SL, but it did not hit our SL. But something happened on Thursday which pulled back everything that we saw. Okay, if you never had a break even, I know you missed out and your SL was hit. But missing a break even when your trade was almost on your take profit is very wrong. So our take profit was at the end of the bodies for the last week's swing, and all of a sudden the market just missed with very, very less pips from our take profit, and then all of a sudden the market pulled back massively. So yes, we were out with a break even, but this was also a very nice setup from GBP USD. The question that you need to ask yourself is, was your week profitable or not profitable? Okay, if you had a profitable week, congratulations, because all these analysis we did them here with you guys, and I'm so glad that everything that we did went as we planned. So far, for the most of the analysis that we do, always, not every week is always a week for taking trades. Okay, some days you'll have to wait for a whole week, for 3 days, for one day, for you to get that A plus setup. But all you have to do is just to be patient and wait for that clear setup. Okay, so yes, let's get down now to our analysis, a top down analysis of what we will be expecting in this market. For GBPUSD, we'll start from a weekly time frame. There is no need of starting from a monthly time frame. Okay, we'll just start from a weekly time frame for us to just check how the last week's candle closed on Friday, and what should we expect from this market from a weekly time frame. Okay, that is the only thing that I'm doing on a weekly time frame, and also to check if we are on a major support or resistance on a weekly time frame, or demand or supply from a weekly time frame, or do we have any major trend line, okay, that we can mark, maybe something like that, or wherever. Okay, like from here, yes, I can mark something like this. Okay, it's not that accurate, and also the price is too high than the trend line, but it's still okay. It's not bad to just mark it. And do we have any other trend line from the higher side that maybe we can mark something like that? No, let's just leave that alone. We will look at it on a daily time frame. It's not that accurate. But from a weekly time frame, if you can look at what the weekly candle did, it was just more like a pullback in this market. What we were expecting was a drop, okay? And as much as we were expecting a continuation of sales from this market, we cannot just get sales all of a sudden. Of course, we might have some pullbacks here and there, and then our continuation. And that is what we had last week, okay? So this buy, the bullish candle that you're seeing here, was just more of a pullback, and then now maybe for this coming week we might see maybe a continuation, because if you can look at it very well, we have a very strong week on the upper side. That means this is more like a rejection. So the prices hit some certain price at that level, and then all of a sudden we had a drop, creating rejection from the higher side. That means there is some pull from the sellers. Okay, so there is some strength from the sellers also, that they want to push the market lower. Okay, now let's go now to a daily time frame. We already have the concept that we want or that we needed from a weekly time frame. That is enough. So let's move to our daily time frame. So from a daily time frame, if you can look at the trend line that we've drawn from a weekly time frame, it's still holding, which acts as a support trend line, which is good. Okay, every time the market hit that trend line, we bought, again we bought, again we bought, and right now we are not yet there. But in case we reach to this trend line, we might expect maybe for this trend line to act as a support level, maybe buy, or if it's a break out, okay, we must wait for a retest, turn it to a resistance trend line, and then proceed lower. But before all that concept, okay, we are not yet on that trend line. So let's just respect what we see on the market. Recently, we are on a downtrend, okay, and I would still expect a continuation of a sell from this market if the market has not yet changed the trend. We are yet to see if the market has changed the trend or not. But let's just analyze what this market did here. So the first thing this market did, this was our swing high up here. Okay, that was our swing high. This was our swing low. Okay, this market gave us a very nice pullback to give us another swing high, which was lower than the previous one, lower than this one. That means it acted as a lower high, but from a daily time frame. So this was another lower swing low, if we can call it. Yes. So what we're expecting from this market, from this swing high that was created recently on this downtrend on a daily time frame, what we were expecting is a drop to form another new low. So this was our last swing low. And if you can look at that market very well, it never gave us another drop, okay, a new low. That market just gave us equal lows, but never gave us a new low. That means we have not yet changed the trend yet, but we don't have a new low, a close of a body from that last swing low. Okay, so the market hit that swing low more of maybe on a 4 hours or a 1 hour, you might see a demand level from that area, and then it reacted, giving us a pullback. You never know, we might continue with sales, or it might also change a trend, maybe from an internal structures. Okay, so let's proceed to our 4 hours. Okay, let me go back first to a daily and maybe conclude something. So what the market has done here, it is not yet a change of trend from a daily time frame though. It is not yet a change of trend. From my end, I can just conclude that we are still on a downtrend, because from this uptrend move, this was our last swing low. And if you look at this market, let me just mark it again. Let me call it a break of trend. Okay, this was our break of trend from this area, because the market closed below our last low, and that's why we had now a change of trend to a downtrend. But recently we have not seen any change of trend again. Okay, because this was our last high from this market. Unless this market comes and breaks above this, we have not yet changed the trend on a daily time frame. So now let's proceed to our 4 hours. I think that is now clear. On a 4 hours time frame, the analysis still remains the same. Okay, we had a break of trend here. Right now we are on a downtrend. These were our last highs from this area. This was a swing low, a swing high, and then another swing low. So this was our last swing high. Let me just mark it. This was our last swing high, and this was our last swing low. So again, this market did not create a new low from these areas. Okay, so according to what this market is doing here, we're just inside different internal structures. Okay, so we've not yet changed the trend to close above swing high, any swing high or any swing low. If we do that, maybe I would expect this market to come lower to our trend line, maybe break below, you never know, or react on this trend line. If it's reacting on this trend line, I would expect something like this, because from the previous prices, you've seen that every time the market hits this trend line, we have a reaction and a pullback. Okay, so this time round, if we don't have something like that, I would expect a break below, a retest, and then continuation from those areas. Okay, but let's not guess what the market will do. Let's analyze what the market is giving us. So at the moment, this is our last swing high and our last swing low. The market is inside the two areas, okay, the two major points, okay, from our swing high and our swing low. So I will not expect anything at the moment, okay, because according to the trend, I'm expecting a drop. But how about according to the internal structure of this market? So now that is what will push us to go to 1 hour and see. Because again, I said we're trading more of day traders and swing traders. So for swing traders, you might not maybe get an entry of a continuation of sales or a continuation of buys at the moment. You'll have to wait, but we will confirm that on 1 hour. But for a day trader, you might get maybe some pullbacks for buys and sells entries from these areas before this market maybe proceeds to close below our swing low or to close above our swing high. So let's go to 1 hour and see what this market is giving. So on a 1 hour, I would want us now to go deep to what is the trend of this market on a 1 hour time frame, okay? Because we had a drop again. We are on a downtrend. We were on a downtrend, okay? A very nice drop. So what is the market communicating from these areas? So this market formed some highs with the pullback, okay? Higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, another higher highs, and then maybe a higher low here, which was more like again a very huge drop, and then again another very huge bullish momentum again. So from these areas where we have this pullback, okay, what is the market communicating? Okay, that is what we are to do right now. So this was our last weeks from this area. This was our last highs, and if you can look very well, the market did not break this high. Okay, so maybe I just call it our last higher high. Okay, this was our last higher high from this candle, but the market did not break above with a body. So we cannot say that we have a change of anything here. We don't have a change of trend or a change of structure at this level yet. So it is not yet confirmed. And also, if you can check very well, we are on a very strong consolidation from that area. The market is hitting a resistance, dropping to a support, a resistance, a support, a resistance, a support, and you never know how this market will continue from this area. So maybe if you continue to a lower time frame is where now you will expect to see if the market will break below. Now this is for more of a trader who would want maybe to scalp for some maybe sells or buys. And remember again, this market, we're just inside the major swing high and the major swing low. So we have something here. All these, you see all this area inside here, all this area is maybe an area that you can maybe scalp some cells, okay? And also above here, all this area, before maybe this market change the trend, this is a room for you maybe to scalp some buys, okay? But of course, remember the major trend of this market. We are bearish still. So there is a very high possibility that this market might proceed lower. Again, also consider the geopolitical events that caused maybe this buy. And as much as it caused this buy, it never changed the trend of the market. Okay. So let's stick to the trend of the market. So if you can continue maybe to let's go maybe to 30 minutes a little bit and maybe just mark this area very well, the support and the resistance that is holding this consolidation. So if I'm to scalp some sells or some buys, but mostly maybe I would consider sells if this market breaks below this, okay, gives me a retest, just a little bit of retest, and then proceed lower, because we might even proceed lower and even break below this swing low. You never know, and even target maybe the trend line. But don't over exaggerate your target. You might even just target these lows, okay? Because here we're having a very nice demand level. Maybe you just target those lows or just in between here. Don't over exaggerate your take profit. But this will only happen if this market will close below this support level here that is holding this consolidation. And also, if you're to take a buy, because the same can happen, if this market breaks above this resistance level that is holding this market and then gives you a retest and then proceed higher. So you never know now. Again, for this trade, when it comes to a buy, it might hit maybe this swing high above there. But again, before that swing high, we have another supply level here. Don't ignore it. So you might over exaggerate your take profit to the swing high, but maybe the market can only hold that trade to these levels. That's why I'm saying if you follow the trend, the sells will be more of a plus setup than the buys, because the buys might just be maybe filling this up, okay, to this demand level and maybe drop. Again, anything can happen in between the major swing high and the major swing low. So I feel like we have to wait, okay, and a lot can happen in between the week. And I think in between the week, maybe after maybe this move has happened, I think I'll update you again, guys, for what we might expect, maybe if it's continuation of sales or if it's a change of trend, okay. But again, I've just said it, if it's a continuation of the trend to the downside, you might expect this market to hit the trend line or even break below the trend line, retest and continue. But if not, okay, you might expect for this market first for the change of trend on a swing high, break above that swing high. But before that, you cannot just wait all along for that market to do that, and yet you have some moves that you can take maybe in between, like this one here, because we have a very, very nice consolidation from this area. And there is a very also high possibility that this market might break above, because if you can look at what this market did, this was a very strong bullish momentum. So there is a high chance that this market might break above and continue higher, or also there is a high chance that this market might break below and come to this demand level here. So all we have to do is to wait and see what our Monday morning is holding for us, okay? And again, if you don't get to maybe take such trades, okay, it's okay for you to wait for this market to confirm maybe a break below this swing low or a break above this swing high. Okay, there is no problem. We still have a whole week ahead of us, and you better not have a setup than have a setup that will stop you out with a negative. This is my analysis on GBPUSD. And if you don't have the same analysis, maybe you can share what you're expecting, because for us, we're just expecting for the market to confirm if we might scalp buys or if we might scalp sells. You have to wait for a proper confirmation of a breakout, a retest, and then proceed, or any other confirmation that you usually use. Just use it for this market to maybe give you a very nice confirmation of if you will be selling or if you will be buying. Okay, that is my analysis on GBPUSD. Maybe we proceed on EURUSD and see what we have on EURUSD. So from the setup that we had, okay, we had an amazing setup again last week. Let me emphasize on that, okay, because it was an amazing one. And if you caught these trades, maybe you can comment and maybe say what was your experience, because it was more of a smooth move to a take profit, but also it needed a lot of patience, okay, for you to wait until it hits your take profit. So for the same, I would want us maybe to start from a weekly time frame and see what the market is holding for us. So from our weekly time frame, what I'm here just to look at is, in case we buy, where are we going to? And in case we sell, where are we going to also? And from according to what this market is giving right now, again, we've not watched the top line analysis that we did from a monthly time frame. Please go and watch. From how we analyzed this market from a monthly time frame last time, we were expecting these markets to come to these highs. Okay, you see these highs here? These highs on a monthly time frame, they were not retested. For Euro USD, we were just expecting maybe this market to pull below, okay, more of a pullback, but from a monthly, that's a very huge move. We cannot wait for months and months for this market to come hit this level so that we can take trades. No, we will move as it moves. We were expecting this market maybe to drop to these lows and then now continue higher. And that alone will give us very nice opportunities just to drop with this market. So from a weekly time frame, if you can look at this market again, we had a very nice drop last week but one, and then last week was more like a pullback from this market. Okay, just a pullback and then a drop. Okay, so that is what I would expect. I'm still bearish with this market even from a weekly time frame. And maybe someone would ask, why are you expecting a continuation of sales? So let me just elaborate better. This was our last swing high on a weekly time frame, remember? Okay, this was our last swing low. And then what this market did, it pulled back some time back, okay? And then now we are more of dropping because it never formed a new high. And maybe I explain it better. If you use your fib from the swing high to the swing low and maybe just check where the market reacted from. It reacted on our 50 to 61%, which is more of our golden zone. And immediately after that reaction, we saw a very huge bearish candle dropping. Okay, that means this market reacted on our point of interest. Okay, and then just drop. So what should we expect? We should expect a continuation and even a formation of a new low from this market. Okay. So again, what the market did last week, if you can look at this market very well, was more of a pullback. Okay, and then a drop. So that pullback, you might see it nicely from maybe a daily time frame or lower time frame like 1 hour. So let's proceed. So again, from what the market is doing, we had a nice pullback. So I will just want us to concentrate on what the market is giving at the moment. This was our swing high from this area, a low, a high, a low, a pullback again for a swing high, a swing low, and then recently this was more like a swing high, and then maybe we proceed lower. So if you look at this trend very well, we are on a downtrend from a daily time frame. So, and even I think last week we also explained very well and we said we had a drop. So what we were expecting from this market was a pullback. A pullback to do what? A pullback to maybe retest these support levels here that this market left and retested. So a pullback to retest, and maybe now from there a drop. And also a pullback to a point of interest and then drop. So maybe if we can also use our fib from this swing high from a daily time frame to our swing low, the market just hit our 50 to 61%, our golden zone. So maybe even you might see this market maybe pulling just higher a little bit, maybe to this area very nicely, or even not, and maybe just proceed lower. But the market at the moment on Euro USD daily time frame, we are at our right position to take ourselves and proceed lower. But that has not yet been confirmed until we maybe move to our 4 hours and maybe confirm that. I'm generally on a downtrend on Euro USD. So from this market, this is our area of interest that I was talking about. So this market is just at that level. So it is not yet confirmed that we are changing the trend. We've not yet changed the trend from this market. From the swing highs to the swing lows, just as GBPUSD, we're just in between the swing highs and the swing lows. So anything can happen. You might scalp some buys, you might scalp some sells, but according to how this Euro USD has positioned itself, it is at our point of maybe taking sells and proceed lower. Okay, so let's maybe confirm that very nicely on 1 hour. From our 1 hour time frame, if you are to maybe scalp some buys, you might maybe scalp to these levels. But I'm not voting for buys because the market is very bearish. So taking a buy will just be at your own risk. And if you're maybe scalping for sells, you might maybe scalps to these areas. But generally, this market again is on a downtrend. So let's just zoom out and maybe concentrate on what the market is doing at these levels. We had equal highs at these levels, but not equal lows again. So this market is more like consolidating on this area, but not consolidating with equal highs and equal lows, because this market is like this. So this is the areas and this is the low. So I would maybe want to wait and see because we've not changed the trend yet. I would maybe, but on our 1 hour time frame, let me just elaborate a little bit. This is 1 hour. Yes. So this was our last here. This one here. So from our 1 hour, let me just do a correction a little bit. This was our last higher high. Okay, maybe I call it that. This was our last higher high. And if you can look at this market, it closed above. So for Euro USD, we have a change of trend from the internal structures. Okay, this is not a change of trend from the swing high and the swing low, but it's a change of trend from the internal structures. So this is very important also because this might give us a very bullish momentum, and it's very important for you to maybe understand where the bullish momentum might come from, because it has changed the trend from this area. We were on a very slight maybe downtrend. Okay, this was our last high, and then the market closed above with a body, not just a wick. So this might change everything, and that's why I'm here just to mark up if we continue on buys. Okay, if maybe the market opens and maybe we proceed on buys, what will I expect? I break above, I retest, and then I take my trade. okay? And if we break below, okay, because the market is still very bearish, I break below, I retest to those lows, and then up continuation. Again, remember, our target is maybe if we are to sell, we are to continue lower and lower. So if that will confirm, you can hold for the longest. And if we are to proceed on maybe the buys, you might proceed maybe up to the swing highs like these ones, and maybe a change of trend, a continuation, and maybe a total change of trend from this market. But trade what the market is giving you, not what you imagine. We can imagine that we will be on buys, we will be on sells, but maybe that is not what the market might hold for us, okay? So we have to wait and see what the market might maybe conclude on whatever move we might be targeting. So from this market again, we have to wait for it to confirm if we will proceed on buys or sells. But for EURUSD, there is a high possibility that we might buy, and also there is a very high possibility that we might sell. Okay, so all these needs a lot of patience just for us to wait and see what the market will give us. So those are the analysis on GBPUSD and EURUSD. Just let me know from the comment sections, okay? What are your expectations on those two markets? Are you expecting bullish momentum or bearish momentum? That is my general analysis for Euro USD and GBP USD. And I believe that you'll have a profitable week ahead. In between the week, if maybe the market does something opposite from what we've analyzed, I'll come back maybe in between the week and maybe just do another top-down analysis so that you can get a general move and maybe, grab something at home. Okay, yes, so leave a comment, like, comment, and subscribe, and see you on the next video.